25%. Now, that's a number you can shrug at, but here's the same number, but in actual dollars. Now, suddenly it's a mortgage payment, tuition bill, a year of savings. That's the moment you find out what your true risk tolerance is. Hey guys, the information presented in this video is for educational purposes only and should not be construed as investment advice or a recommendation of any security or strategy. I am not acting as your investment advisor. Options trading involves substantial risk, including the possible loss of principal, and is not appropriate for all investors. Any strategies discussed are examples only and may not be suitable for your financial situation. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I was recently talking through and kind of working through some changes to my options income strategy and really thinking through how I wanted to do things in my Roth IRA and how I wanted to do things in my brokerage account. And I was working through the different strategies in the SPX 7DT website, and I was working through the compound annual growth rate and the max drawdown. And I was struck as I worked through the max drawdown in particular, because it's really easy with percentages to just see, well, 5%, 10%, 25%, 33%. And maybe we're a little bit sheltered from the reality of this. We think about what happened in the great financial crisis, where a lot of accounts dropped 50, 55% potentially, or the dot-com bubble, where the NASDAQ 100 dropped over 75%. And here, again, we're talking about percentages, but the reality is we can really just shrug off what a percentage means to us. But it's when we actually see dollar amounts change in our account that revolutionizes and changes everything. So first off, let's dive in here and talk about what is a max drawdown. Well, what we're talking about here is the difference between the peak or the highest your account is and the trough, the bottom. And another element to that is how long is it at its trough before it gets back to a new peak again. And when we think about the practical nature of these strategies, you could have one income strategy and you could have three different account sizes that all drop, let's say, 25%. But the actual impact is fundamentally different depending on the size of the account. Again, you rationalize percentages. They hit you logically and you can understand it. Dollar amounts hit you emotionally. So let's look at an example here. We're going to jump into the SPX 7DTE website. And before we do that, we need to go over some disclosures. And I'm going to do this thing where I put it up on the screen and you can pause it and read it at your own speed. Okay, if you want to, every bit of it. And I encourage you to do so because anytime we look at this website, we need to give disclosure, but I'm going to fast forward it really fast, okay? So it doesn't take forever in this video.
This tool is for education and research only. It is not personalized investment advice, a recommendation, a solicitation, or an offer, and it does not consider my personal circumstances, objectives, or suitability. All results are hypothetical and backtested with the benefit of hindsight. No real trades were placed, and no actual capital was at risk. And hypothetical results have inherent limitations and often differ materially from actual results. No chart, ranking, score, or output can by itself determine or assist me in deciding what or when to buy or sell. The results assume idealized fills and disciplined execution, carry curve fitting risk, and may not hold as markets change. The quote best, top, and best fit results are mechanical sorting of historical metrics, not predictions or assurances, and I should not assume any strategy shown was, is, or will be profitable. Options carry a high degree of risk and are not suitable for all investors. A put credit spread can lose its entire weight, and I should not trade with capital I cannot afford to lose. Past performance, actual or hypothetical, is not indicative of future results. I will consult my own qualified financial tax and legal professionals and will not rely on this tool
as the basis for any investment decision. So we're going to minimize this real quick. And what I want to do is we're just going to grab a random strategy that has a fairly moderate max drawdown, and then we're going to work through this conversion. We're going to assume here that we're going to be utilizing, let's say, 50% of a $50,000 starting account. I'm going to go to the all results section here. We'll close that up for now. And we're just going to find a strategy in here. In fact, we're going to find one that has a really strong compound annual growth rate, one you might gravitate towards. And then we'll actually understand the implications of the max drawdown. I'm going to scroll down here. We're going to hide the red, which are strong variations in the Sortino ratio, which is a risk-adjusted return. And let's go find one here that has beaten the S&P 500 over every single time frame, 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, and 5 years, at least historically, right? We don't know what the future holds. Let's find one that's got a really high compound annual growth rate. Here's one right here, the 10 Delta, strategy number 3520. It's a blended approach on a SPX credit spread, and it's got a Sortino ratio of 1.69, which is good, and a compound annual growth rate of 25.12%. Also really great. But it's got a max drawdown of 30.49%. Let's go ahead and open that one up here. And we're assuming Let's actually just come down here. You can see how this strategy works by clicking on open detail. And you can kind of see how the strategy works okay, but there are times when it actually goes down in value, right? And actually, this is probably perfect right here. The 2016 through 2026 version is best because it had a compound annual growth rate of 30%, but a max drawdown of 48.89%. So what we're going to do here is just going to pull up a calculator, just do the conversion ourselves. So let's just assume we're going to make an assumption on the value. It started at 50, but at some point it actually went up in value. So let's assume it was at $250,000. Okay, you have $250,000, and you understand that with growth comes volatility. We understand that conceptually, but the question becomes, would you actually stick with an option strategy? It's different than holding the market, right? It's one thing to hold shares of the S&P 500 and know that, well, the market goes down and it always comes back, right? But option strategies might not have that same reassurance, right? Sometimes when that money is gone, it's gone. So we have to be aware of the fact that while a strategy could improve and could get better, once that money goes away, it's not like a paper loss, it's a physical loss in your account. So let's assume it was at $250,000. Let's say the compound annual growth rate is like it says 30%. So it could grow 30% in 1 year. So we take that number, we take it to 1.3, means it could grow from 250 to 325 in just 1 year. Sounds amazing. We're all on board for that. But what about a 48%, 48.89% drawdown? Take that number 250, right? 52.1%. So my question to you is, we're cool with 250 going to 325, but what if 250 goes down to $130,000? Yikes, right? Now, obviously, this is a kind of an extreme number at 48%, but when you again, we think that compound annual growth rate, we know that with growth comes volatility, but not necessarily that kind of volatility with an option strategy. And then the question becomes, if you were to lose half of your money, essentially, if you went from 250 to 130 in your account, would you keep running the strategy? This is different than holding shares of the market, the S&P 500. Would you keep running the strategy knowing that $120,000 is gone? Percentages, we can conceptualize and understand them logically. Real dollar amounts hit us in the gut. It's a visceral reaction. We have to be mindful of that. And so when we think about, okay, well, this is an account I'm going to invest in and it lost. Well, let's go with a more appropriate number. Not appropriate, but maybe more moderate number here, right? Growth of 25 and 30% right here, 30.49. So what is 100 minus what is 30.49? So 69.51% is left. So we take that same 250 and it drops 30.49%. And we take that down to 0.69, I think it's 6951. Our 250 went from 250 down to $173,000. That is a real dollar amount lost of $76,000 out the window. And I know that you're thinking, because I'm thinking it, I can stomach a 30% drop, but how do I feel about losing $76,000 out of my account? Not so good. And that's a fairly moderate max drawdown when we're talking about SPX option strategies and you're utilizing 50% of your account. Another thing to consider here, we look at a different tab on this same number here. If we come down and you can kind of see how long things took. So these are some specific drawdowns that occurred on this specific strategy. And this one right here, the 31.41 depth, dropped during COVID. So this one was shorter, right? This was 4 months. The peak was in February. The trough was in June. And then it recovered back in March or fall in March of 2021 or 392 days later. So the question is, would you be cool with that much money lost that it took that long to get back to where you were before, not knowing if you were going to do it, right? That's a long time. Here's another one. 2007 had a peak to trough of 25.57%. This was September of 2007. Peak, trough, October of 2007. And we didn't recover until 2010 or 876 days later. And that assumes you continue to run the strategy consistently. So you have to think about, yes, the magnitude is important, but also the duration of the loss. So when we think about drawdowns, we have to be mindful of the fact that it's going to draw down a specific amount, large or small, depending on historical results and what might happen in the future. But also, it might take a period of time for that money to come back to where it was before. if it does at all. So, what's the key takeaway of this? What can we do with this knowledge? Hopefully, it was eye opening for you because it was eye opening for me as well. I definitely thought more logically and more percentage based first. But when it came to my own accounts, I need to look at okay, well, with my brokerage account, let's say, I've set aside $50,000 to operate an options strategy. How much of that 50 am I cool with losing potentially forever? And I thought it through and I was thinking, well, I don't love the idea of that number falling into the 20s. So if that 50 were to fall to 35, 33, something like that, then that makes a little bit more sense to me. I can probably stomach that and I can always adjust the strategy or just realize that, hey, historically this has happened before. It's probably going to come back. And so that made sense to me both percentage wise and dollar wise. In my Roth IRA, I'm a little bit more aggressive because I'm about to be turning 40, yeesh, and which means I'm not going to get access to this money until 59 and a half. So at least 19, 20 years before I'm potentially pulling money at the account. And I realized I can be a little more aggressive here. So I'm cool with maybe a 30, 35% drawdown, maybe in that account, as opposed to, again, maybe a 20 or 25% or less drawdown. And you might be completely different. You might come into this and think, okay, this is, I'm trying to run this strategy to replace bonds in my portfolio. Therefore, I'm only cool with like a 5 to 10% drawdown ever, max drawdown. And that's okay. You just need to go into it with that frame of mind thinking, okay, if I've got, let's say, $100,000, keep the numbers simple, $100,000 in this account, which is set aside for cash and options, and it's funding my retirement set aside for my growth, I'm only cool with that 100 turning into 90 or that 100 turning into 90 or 85. I never wanted to drop more than that, at least proven that it hasn't done that historically. And that's fine. There are strategies you can implement, at least from a utilization standpoint, that can actually deliver that, at least historically. Part of knowing who you are as an income investor or just any type of investor is understanding what your risk tolerance is and what your risk capacity is. Risk tolerance is how you feel about it emotionally when bad things happen. Risk capacity is your ability to manage significant volatility. So you could have a really high risk capacity and a really low risk tolerance. Vice versa, you might be thinking, "Sweet, I'm happy to take all the risk all in the world, but you've only got $10,000. That's all, and you're risking all of it. That's a problem. You don't have a lot of risk capacity." On the flip side, you could be terrified of market volatility, but if you've got $5 to $10 million, what are you worrying about if you're only putting up $100,000 here or there? So for those of you out there that are thinking about trading or are currently trading SPX options or any options for that matter in an account, think through not only the percentages, but think of the actual dollar amounts and work through a thought exercise of, okay, if I know that this strategy has historically done great, but has had lots of volatility. Could I stomach that volatility in actual dollar amounts, not just percentages? Hopefully, you found some value out of this video, guys, and learned something new. Maybe took on a different frame of reference for your trading moving forward. If you'd like to get access to the SPX7 DTE website, check out the link down in the description below. To learn more about that. And make sure to leave your 2 cents down in the comments below. I'd love to get your feedback. What did you like? What did you not like? What do you want to see more of? And maybe just some follow-up questions on how I approached this subject. I'm happy to answer them. That's all I got for you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks for watching.